You think you know what spiritual awakening is. You think it's light, peace, transcendence, and endless bliss. That's the story most people are told. But what no one told you, what's rarely spoken about, is the hidden price, the corridors of darkness, and the terrifying beauty that awakening drags you into. Once you begin to see what lies beneath the surface, there is no turning back. So stay with me until the end, because what you'll hear today may not be what you expect, but it will change how you understand this journey forever. When most people imagine awakening, they imagine it as a final destination, something like, once you awaken, you'll no longer suffer, you'll rise above pain and live in perfect harmony. It's painted as a trophy, an achievement, a badge of spiritual honor, but this idea is seductive precisely because it appeals to the ego. It tells us we can bypass all the pain, all the messiness, all the raw humanity, and jump straight into light. The deeper truth, however, is that awakening doesn't erase suffering. It transforms the way you meet it. It's not the end of struggle, but a radical shift in how struggle moves through you. Rarely do teachers talk about the nights of despair, the collapse of meaning, or the terrifying void that many people fall into on their awakening journey. These moments aren't accidents along the way, they are essential parts of the path. Awakening is not just a climb into light, it's also a descent into darkness. It's a confrontation with the parts of yourself you've buried, denied, or feared. And yes, it's uncomfortable, even terrifying at times. But without this confrontation, awakening remains shallow. As your identity begins to loosen, your ego will fight back. The ego is clever. It has been your anchor, your sense of me, your role in society, your beliefs, your achievements. Suddenly, awakening demands you to dissolve those definitions, so the ego rebels. It might flood you with doubt. It might make you feel angry, lost, apathetic, or superior, convincing you that you're more awakened than others. But this is its trick. Recognizing when the ego is hijacking your spirituality is part of the real work. And then comes the shadow. Jung called the shadow the hidden part of us that we don't want to see, our jealousy, our anger, our envy, our shame. Awakening forces these shadows into the light, not to punish us, but because what we refuse to face will always control us. If you've ever wondered why your path feels messy or why the same emotions keep surfacing, it's because the shadow is demanding acknowledgement. The more you resist, the stronger it becomes. But once you face it, you realize that even in your darkness lies tremendous power, creativity, and authenticity waiting to be reclaimed. Some people meet what's known as the dark night of the soul. It feels like everything collapses, beliefs, identities, even your connection to the divine. Life loses meaning. What once gave you joy suddenly feels empty. You feel cut off from spirit itself. This stage can be terrifying, but it's not a dead end. It's a cleansing fire. It strips away illusions and leaves you with nothing but the raw truth. And in that emptiness, a deeper, more authentic connection can finally be born. What no one tells you is that awakening is as much about loss as it is about gain. You lose the comforting lies you've told yourself. You lose the illusions that kept you numb. You even lose the old versions of yourself you thought you could never live without. But what emerges on the other side is clarity. You begin to see the world, yourself, and others more honestly. This clarity can be liberating, but it's also heavy, because once you see truth, you can't unsee it. You'll sense hidden motives, illusions in society, and falseness in relationships, and with that clarity comes responsibility. You also gain compassion. When you've faced your own darkness, it softens you. You stop judging others so quickly because you know their struggles are not so different from your own. Awakening tears down the walls of superiority and lets you connect with people heart to heart. And in that connection, you find one of the most surprising gifts of this path, real empathy. Perhaps the hardest lesson of all is that awakening asks you to live in paradox. You discover that light and dark, certainty and mystery, joy and grief, all of them belong. There is no final escape. Instead, there is integration. You stop running from contradictions and begin to hold them, to breathe with them, to live in the middle. That's freedom, not in eliminating opposites, but in learning to dance with them. But don't think this path is simple. You will face turning points that shake you. When the roles and identities you once clung to fall away, you may feel like you are nothing. That void can feel unbearable, but it's in this void that new life takes root. Relationships will also challenge you. Those closest to you will mirror your hidden wounds, conflicts, betrayals, misunderstandings. All of them will demand that you turn inward instead of outward. Your body, too, will change. You may feel strange energy surges, fatigue, aches, or bursts of vitality. This is your system, recalibrating to the new awareness you're embodying. You will doubt. You will feel bored. You will feel like none of this matters. And in those moments, you'll be tempted to run into distraction, into busyness, into new addictions, even into false spiritual practices that promise instant bliss. But if you resist that temptation, if you stay present with the discomfort instead of escaping it, you will discover that the darkness itself becomes the doorway. So, how do you navigate this hidden side of awakening? First, become a witness. Learn to observe your thoughts and emotions without becoming them. Ask yourself, who am I beyond this story, beyond this fear? That witnessing presence will carry you through storms. Second, dialogue with your shadow. Write down your fears, your shame, your anger. Ask them what they want you to learn. You'll be shocked at the wisdom hidden there. Third, make silence your friend. Sit in meditation, not to chase special states, but simply to rest in awareness itself. Fourth, stay grounded. Walk in nature, breathe deeply, move your body. Awakening isn't just in the mind, it must be digested in your flesh and bones. And finally, seek support, but wisely. The right guide, therapist, or community can mirror back what you cannot see. But beware of gurus who thrive on control or superiority. Perhaps the most important ingredient of all is patience. Awakening is not a race. There is no finish line. Each step matters, each mistake matters, each tear and laugh matters. The moment you try to rush, you fall into the trap of the ego again. Surrender to the pace of life. Trust that even when nothing makes sense, something in you is being shaped. Let me share a story. A young seeker traveled across continents to find a teacher. She meditated, fasted, studied, but after months she felt emptier than ever. In despair she cried, "Have I wasted my life?" The teacher looked at her and said, "Yes and no. You've wasted your illusions, but in that loss you are free to discover what is real." In that silence, something shifted. She realized awakening wasn't about adding more, but about losing what was false, or think of a moth drawn to a flame. At first, it's enchanted by the light, but to reach the flame, it must pass through the heat, the burn, the darkness of being consumed. And in that burning, it transforms. Awakening is just like that. You are the moth, the flame is your soul. And the fire is unavoidable. People often get stuck on this path. Some get stuck in the light, clinging to good vibes only, avoiding their pain. That's not awakening, that's denial. Others get stuck in the dark, drowning in despair and forgetting that light still exists. Some get stuck in spiritual superiority, wearing awakening as a crown. And others retreat from the world, isolating themselves in caves of silence, forgetting that the point is not to escape life, but to integrate with it. The way forward in each case is the same: humility, honesty, and compassion. So what does awakening actually demand from you? It demands the courage to face truths you'd rather avoid. It demands letting go of roles, identities, and comforts. It demands patience through doubt and surrender when your ego screams. It demands love that goes deeper than emotion, love that embraces the whole, even the parts you once hated. Maybe you're watching this because you've already felt it, the pull, the discontent, the sense that life is more than what you've been told. Maybe you're scared of what that means, but ask yourself, what is the alternative? To live in smallness, to stay safe in illusions, to ignore the calling of your soul? Or to take the leap, to enter the unknown, to discover what you truly are? The invitation is simple: don't run. Lean in, face the shadows, walk through the fire, because on the other side of everything you fear is freedom. You are not alone in this journey. Something deep inside you already knows the way home. spiritual awakening is not a prize to win. It is not a perfect bliss state. It is a process, brutal at times, beautiful at times, mysterious always. The parts of you you fear most are the very doors to your freedom. Keep walking, keep letting go, keep returning to the present. This is the real awakening no one told you about. If this message resonated with you, share your own experience in the comments. Let others know they're not alone. Like this video, subscribe if you want to continue this journey with me, and together we'll keep exploring the truths most people are too afraid to speak about. Until next time, may your path be illuminated from within.